I wrestle sometimes with that imposter syndrome, which I found language for it later on in life. I didn't know that that's what it was by definition, a form or an element of imposter syndrome. But a lot of times when you finally get in the room, you start to see, oh, wow, a few things. This is really cool. Also, this ain't everything that I thought it was going to be. And wow, this is what I prayed for. And it's always for me, all three of those things. Because when you get in certain rooms that you from a distance long to be a part of, you realize up close, one, the grass isn't as green. You also realize that these people feel just like you feel. They hurt just like you hurt. They, they bleed just like you bleed. They're human. And when you see up close, you realize that the distance is more of what is when the glamour appears more glamorous. When you get up close, you're like, oh, you got pimples.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
And so you've been working so hard to appear to appear
that standard that's been presented to you when no one is there. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one is there. And I'm talking about from the billionaires to the most popular for whatever reason. It is no one is really there.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay. But there is a thing, there's a FOMO that is very real, of the fear of missing out, because sometimes, I think that's just the devil's good work, and I hate to give the devil props, but that's the typical work of the enemy, to make you think you're missing out on something because you're not there. But I think I've had enough examples in life to realize I didn't miss anything that was for me.
Right.
What's for me won't miss me. Yeah.
It's and ever in life it won't miss you. And that's the thing about being in the room, or even when you said credentials, some of our listeners might not realize that's what it's called. Your passes to get in.
Yeah.
Whether it's a backstage pass or
yes,
pass,
please. Those are credentials. Yeah.
Now
that
let me
all
tell you,
access.
I learned it'll gonna be a package, and it lets you know what all you have access to. So I remember I used to work at a radio station. Well, I've worked at several, but I started in college, and I learned the word credentials, and it had been put on my spirit ever since I knew that was a thing, that I should have them. Right. And credentials mean different things in different contexts, right? So sometimes it might mean your certifications, your degrees, your qualifications for something. I'm credentialed. We're talking about this is what you show security to get into spaces everyone's not allowed into.
Yes.
And I remember being in college, going to the Bud Superfest in Atlanta. And I had tickets through the radio station I worked for. It was me, my brother, and two of my friends from college. I'm sitting up in the nosebleed. These are the ticket giveaway seats. I'm nosebleed. And in my mind, as a teenager, I said, I'm going to go downstairs and see if I can get backstage. And looking back now, it's funny because my brother went with me. And I went up to that window and I said, there should be some credentials for Eunice Elliott. Now, I knew there were none. But I remember that day how impressed I was that they went looking for them.
Yes. Yes.
And they made a call and they're looking. I know my name ain't on no list to be back here, but I thought if I come and ask, and you know what I realized, and I'll tell you now, I'm not telling you how to breach security at events, but let me offer this. If you act like you're supposed to be there, other people will believe it.
Yo, Eunice, you ain't never lied.
You hear me? I learned that as a teenager.
You ain't never lied.
Because in their mind, there's no way she would come up here and ask for passes.
There's no way she would have the audacity.
She wouldn't do that.
To fix her mouth to say these words. Yeah.
She wouldn't come down here and do that if she didn't think, let's figure this out. Where is she on the list? And sometimes, in my experience, they have found a way to rectify their mistake.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that must have been an oversight. Okay, just come this way. Just come with me.
Come on.
Yeah.
Because I had the audacity to think that, I'm supposed to be in the room. Now, again, that's different than just breaching security.
Yeah,
And that
because
shit might be
I
the
don't want,
same.
I
That's not the
definitely
point.
don't want this to be an
I know.
encouragement to break
I'm
rules,
not saying that. This is a
but
metaphor. Metaphor.
but honestly, it all it takes is for you to show up as if you belong. Because the truth be told, rejection or lack of invitation does not mean you are not qualified.
That
And
part.
that's something I've learned along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the longest, we took rejection as a statement of you aren't worthy or you're not qualified. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not necessarily what it means. It just
Right.
means that this is not the time for you. This
Or
is
it was
not,
a complete oversight. I promise
or
you,
it
y'all,
could have literally been that and complete oversight.
the
And
fact that I was not in the room last weekend. Now, I had a different experience because I've
yeah,
never been to the Grammys. So when my
mm,
friend was at the Grammys celebrating Beyonce album of the year and face all up in the place with Lady Gaga and
Lady
Bruno
Gaga.
and all that, I was basically in the room by proxy. Oh, I'm all up in
Yes,
the Grammy. Look at me in the Grammys.
that's right.
This past weekend at NAACP, because I had been in the room and now I wasn't in the room because I was somewhere else. It probably would have been much worse if I was watching at home on the couch. I would have been,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
have been like,
You were
why am I?
working, you were busy. I wasn't
I was working,
available
so
because I
it
was
didn't
booked.
affect me like that. But I'm imagining if I was laying on the couch, I would have felt different, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but it's still a different thing because um I still will fix in my mind and I'm conditioned to understand and believe and know. I think I have the opposite of imposter syndrome because I feel like they not having no good time because I'm not there. I ain't never been in a room and thought, oh Lord, don't let them find out I ain't supposed to be in here. I look around the room and I decide, is this a room I want to stay in or not? This ain't it for me. Now, a
Woo,
lot of people in the
that's some
room,
cojones. Wow.
but
Good
I'm
stuff.
telling you. And so that's why I can look back over all the rooms I've been in. I remember when I used to be a publicist for professional athletes, and I would be in all these rooms and spaces, the ESPY Awards being one of them, and all the athletes and celebrities. And maybe after my 5th or 6th year of doing this event, I was sitting there as the most unimportant, most unfamous, poorest person allegedly in the room, and I was bored. And I had to say, okay, this is now looking good and exciting to everyone else, and it literally is not exciting to you anymore. So you need to go figure out what excites you about you.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's when I let all my clients go and I started over. You know, I pivot every 10 years. Didn't know what I was going to do, but I said, if I'm in the room with the biggest and brightest and most successful people and I'm bored and I'm not feeling like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, I literally was like, all right, I, okay, cool. Like you said, you get in the room, you're like, huh, it's smaller than it looks on TV. Huh, this is what, eh. And I just felt like, okay, I'm glad and proud I did it and I'm not going to base the rest of my existence of trying to do it again. And I think, do you remember did you see the musical Hamilton?
Have yet to see it actually.
Okay, there's a
I've only
song.
seen clips, and that's a, that's blasphemy for
It
anyone
really is.
that's, yeah,
I don't want to lose focus. I just please do better.
yeah.
I don't want to lose focus on
I
that.
will do
But there's a
better. I will do
song.
better.
There's a song in Hamilton called "In the Room Where It Happens" because there was one
Yes, I've heard
person
of that. Yes.
who wanted to be in the room where they were making laws and decisions to build America, and he was never invited in the room, and it kind of drove him crazy that he was not in the room when it happened. Now, he didn't say I want to come contribute. He didn't say I want to just see who's there. He just wanted to be in the room when it happened. And I feel like so many times in life that can be the greatest thing that you can do. It could also be the worst thing that you can do because sometimes people get in the room and they still don't represent.